Hi, I recently watched House of Gucci, Ridley Scott's 2021 drama about the downfall of the notorious fashion family. It's set over a lengthy period of time from the 70s to the 90s and is centered on the relationship of Maurizio Gucci, the heir to the family empire, and his relationship with his wife, Patrizia, whom he happens to meet at a party, who has sought him out and sees herself as climbing up the company ladder, gradually engineering Maurizio into an increasingly powerful position until ultimately their relationship disintegrates and she's forced to take a certain kind of revenge. Ridley Scott's films are often awkward because famously he cannot tell a good script from a bad one. And although there are strengths in this script and there are strengths in the film overall, it really suffers from an inconsistent tone. There are scenes that are very serious and very dramatic and um, uh, very powerful, or meant to be very powerful, but there are others that are completely ridiculous and farcical. And a main problem with that is that none of the actors seem to be working in the same kind of film. We have Lady Gaga as Patrizia delivering a very um, rather hammy, cod Shakespearean performance as a quasi Lady Macbeth type figure. We have Adam Driver as Maurizio playing a much more restrained, much more natural, believable character. Maurizio is very likable. He is disowned by his family for wanting to marry Patrizia, whom the others think is a gold digger. So he goes to work for Patrizia's father's company, washing trucks and mucking in with all the other workers and having a total lack of pretension about doing a day's labour. And is throughout the film, despite his vulnerabilities and his questionable decision making, generally a likable, realistic person. We have Jeremy Irons as his father, again playing something of the Jeremy Irons performance, a little of the archness, but not too much. As the uncle Aldo, who is effectively the driving force behind the business itself. Al Pacino playing rather more flamboyant than usual, but surprisingly warm and gregarious. And then the joker in the pack, of course, is Jared Leto as Paolo, Aldo's son, Maurizio's cousin, who is, as I say, played by Jared Leto, under 30 pounds of prosthetics to make him fat, bald, and old. He looks completely ridiculous, and his performance is so bizarre and so over the top and cartoonish that he seems to be in a completely different movie. It feels like late period Peter Sellers at his most undisciplined in something like Revenge of the Pink Panther, where the false noses and the wacky jokes are completely beyond any realm of sanity. And he's dropped down in the middle of this generally fairly serious movie with no attempt at kind of balancing the tone or the measure of what we're supposed to be looking at. So it leaps in tone from scene to scene. There's one moment where we have a cut from Paolo opening his mouth to wail in agony to the sound of a car horn in the next scene, where I laughed out loud because it was so absurd. I don't know if it's meant to be a joke. I don't think Ridley Scott is a talented comedy director. He's only made one comedy type film that I'm aware of, Matchstick Man. I'm not sure a good year would really count. It's not really funny enough. Um, but this has a lot of good actors. It has a lot of good visuals. It's generally well directed, but it's just it clashes so badly in terms of no one really seeming to know what the movie is supposed to be. Um, as a result, it's an interesting story, certainly, and an engaging one, but it's so oddly handled with so little direct discipline over what the movie should be, how the story should be told, that the result is that it just looks a bit strange and disjointed. I'd love to read a proper book about the Gucci's, I mean, such as the one on which this film is based. But if you want to know the story, I really wouldn't advise watching this movie because, given the wildly varying nature of its content, I'm really not sure it's giving you any kind of accurate